Hi guys, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Pieter-Louis.
Welcome to our podcast Legend and Lure, a world tour where we explore the eerie, the mysterious, and the legendary. Imagine you're down on your luck in New York City. The shelters are full and the streets aren't safe. Where do you go? What if there was a hidden world beneath the city? A place where people have built homes away from the chaos above. Welcome to the legend of the Mole People. It's widely believed that for decades people have lived in the subway tunnels and even the sewers beneath New York City. And this isn't just folklore, there's documented evidence that homeless individuals have made underground spaces their homes. One of the most well known sources is the 2000 documentary Dark Days by Mark Singer, which follows real homeless individuals living in abandoned sections of New York City's subway tunnels. They built makeshift homes, found ways to access electricity, and built entire underground communities.
Well, it's easy to believe. Obviously, just from quickly googling it, mole people it's a real thing. There's like photos of them down there.
There's YouTube videos, there's
YouTube,
so
there's
much.
everything else. But it's just if you think of New York and also just looking at what it looks like now, it's high-rise buildings on high-rise buildings going up. There's no more going out, so you have to go down. So if you can't afford a place, let's say I don't think it's cheap in New York anymore. It's never been. I doubt that anybody really can. You can't afford not to be rich there anymore.
Well,
So
you'd
you have
hope
to
you
go
can
down.
live with family or somewhere, but if you're down on your luck, apparently the
Well,
sewer is the place to go.
Well, if it seems like you're saying that you take your whole family down there as well now, because
No, there's here and there. I saw couples, but it's mostly single people. One of the guys did talk about he took in his brother while he was down on his luck as well, but he eventually got out there and yeah, his brother stayed behind. I don't know why. It wasn't because they. He even said he and his brother still goes to shows together and stuff. So his brother actually comes to get him for shows. So
but this is
yeah, I don't
most
know.
what abandoned parts of the subway.
Yes, and
It's
they
not where you.
seem really so happy down there. If you watch the videos, they really they they feel like they have their own little space and they just enjoy it there.
Okay, I say it's
They're
not a
not looking
folklore.
for somewhere else to go. They're not looking to move up. If I look at them,
But
they're
it's basically
content.
what you call it when you live somewhere you're not allowed to. What do you call it?
Squatters camp.
So it's squatting, basically. Just
Yes, it's illegal squatting, pretty much.
so it's not legal at all, and they just keep on doing it. Okay.
Well, obviously it's not legal. It's a subway.
The
I
thing is,
think
what can you do when you can't just take people away? Where do you take them? You take them back up to go live on the street.
probably to shelters where they don't want to live.
But how many shelters can you build in a place that's really so crowded as New York?
I don't
You send
know.
them across the border to the next state and say, "Hey, Jersey, it's your problem now."
A fascinating YouTube video by Eric K. Swanson. Inside his amazing home in the tunnels beneath New York is the title. Showcases real homeless communities living beneath the city. These individuals use sewer drains as rooms. So actual, if you look at the video, it doesn't show. It's not like it's a used sewer still. It doesn't have a smell. It's clean. So they use this. Sewer drains. They collect discarded items like refrigerators, microwaves, and even computers, and almost make like this little bachelor flat inside the sewers, living next door to each other and just pulling a piece of wood over their homes. It doesn't have these heavy covers, so they just pull a piece of wood over, and that's their home. Um, Some bring pets in, hang blankets for insulation, and they survive by collecting cans for recycling. That's sometimes known as canning, apparently. Then this way they earn money for food and necessities. Those with skills create stuff to sell. They scavenger for goods to sell to street vendors. However, authorities have been working to clean up, air quotes on clean up, the tunnels, arresting those who return after eviction.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm putting you out of your home, and I'm going to take you to jail when you go back. Isn't that a win-win?
I don't think so, no. The one video I watched where specifically this video I spoke about of his amazing home in the tunnels beneath New York. That man, he actually found him 10 years later living on the streets, not in shelters, where he just basically makes this little home, basically with blankets, this little tent home for himself. And you could see he was very upset that he was arrested. It wasn't a good thing for him, but he was still very positive, and he believes God will help him, and he's taking it better than I would have.
But how do you get into the sewer? There's like obviously more than one way in. So where do they catch you? Where do they arrest you?
So
do
it's
they
not-
wait for you down there and
It's not like we think it's not this. Oh yes, it's basically they walk down the tunnels of the New York City tunnels. So it's not there's actual. You just walk off the street. It's not that you have to necessarily go underground or so on.
it's not always in the sewer, it's in the subway.
Yes,
Is
it's
the subway and the
basically-
sewer the same thing? Do they pass each other at some point?
So basically, it's the subway that's going in, but there's sewer holes there. So it's literally this small hole, and if you go into it, you can be. I don't know how they sleep in there. I swear, maybe it goes a bit deeper. But in the video where he went down to help him with his computer and so on the YouTube video from Eric K. Swanson, it was just this small little space. So, and like I say, there's no gunk or disgusting. It's a clean, proper place. So if I understand correctly, the sewers aren't being used anymore. So they just walk down the street, just go around. There's nothing blocking them from going in, or if there is, they're probably cutting it away. And they just walk in and then cover a hole for themselves. So they're evicting them and then arresting them, and eventually they come out. The underground residents close to the surface are the ones we see and hear about. But according to urban legends,
there's more.
Of course there's more. We're legends and lore here, not just the mole people. So much deeper underground, things take a more eerie and mysterious turn. Maintenance workers have reported seeing strange things in the depths of the tunnel, red eyes glowing in the dark, figures darting past them, a deformed being disappearing into the shadows. Could there be another level of underground dwellers hidden far beneath the subway? This brings us to one of the most controversial books on the subject. A name that keeps coming up in discussions about mole people, and that everywhere I Googled to try and find out more, it popped up everywhere, is Jennifer Todt. Her 1993 book, The Mole People, Life in the Tunnels Beneath New York City, describes an elaborate underground world with vast communities, some housing up to 200 people. According to Todt, these groups have elected mayors, they have nurses, they have laundry facilities, working showers of hot water, cooking areas and exercise rooms, and even a school for children. So there's even children down there. If this is true, it's an entirely self-sustaining underground civilization.
Well, again, going down is the way to go because you can't go up. They already went up. There's already high-rise buildings. So going down makes sense, but I don't think it's possible.
What, a
Because-
train
because
going past you?
What's the logical thinking here is when you flush a toilet, the water goes down. So when you are down, everything needs to go up.
Remember, you're only looking at sewers. We're actually looking at
Underground.
subways.
Yeah, but imagine under the subway.
So
Further down you go, the more pressure it takes to take water back up. So everything needs to go up.
no, it's
If you
not
dig, it needs to go up.
necessarily.
If you flush, it needs to go up.
If you have
if
the
you
right
use a sink, it
people,
needs to go up.
no, there's a lot. If you go very far with folklore and so on, I mean, other underground places. There's so many places you can go underground. That's deep down there for when the apocalypse hits or anything like that. So no, I think you
But
can go
not a
down.
modern civilization.
I'm pretty sure you can go down.
Like I said, I don't think. I have my doubts again, because there's other things like saying the red eyes, strange things people see in the tunnels, the red eyes glowing. That's something interesting as well, because these are the same people. Do we say the red-eye people and the mole people are the same people?
Well, yes, it's the mole people are basically the people that live in the subway.
Also, so do
So-
they account for all the, let's say, the ghost sightings and the hauntings and anything else, or is
I'm
it just
not aware of any hauntings.
well?
I didn't read it. I'm not saying there isn't, but I didn't read anything about hauntings.
Give me a second. Hold on. Haunting. I'm going to tell you now. Okay, there is. One second. Go back on this one. No, go forward. Oh, right there. Okay, so as a PlayStation, some say they've seen a phantom train with leather couches, silk curtains, and a wood-burning stove. Whoa, ghost train.
Why
Grand
is
Central.
that ghost? Just because they saw
I don't know.
stuff.
Grand Central
It's the
Terminal.
mole
I see
people.
this is Google's AI overview, so this is probably made up slightly a bit.
Oh, but
More
it's
than
the
it
mole
should.
people. If it's not see-through and you can actually touch it, it's the mole people.
It's the mole people. Grand Central Terminal, some say they've seen Fala, the Scottish Terrier, was a companion to former President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So, a dog. People have seen a dog.
Why not?
City Hall stop, some say operations roam the station, so that might be mole people.
Yes, because you think of red eyes and so on, and obviously they're not getting sun because if you listen to Toad's book, then these people, some of them come up, some of them do, and they still look normal because they go do their normal jobs and then they go down. And obviously the mole people that are documentaries was done about and so on, some of them have actual day jobs. It's just low paying day jobs, so then they go back to their house down in the sewers. Oh, not in the sewers, in the subways. So anything is possible, but obviously those that don't come up and those that stay down there, they don't get sun, they don't get this. Why not?
But we're talking about deep levels here of mole people. So
Yes.
there's mole people, then mole people version 2 extreme. Mole people underneath the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, there's different types of mole
Because
people.
one thing that it says here, also thanks Google AI overview, some say they've heard horror stories about a gang of Dominican drug dealers and thugs called the Ballbusters who roam the tunnels.
I think that's out of Toad's book.
You think so?
Yes, if I can remember correctly, she specifically talks about that.
It makes sense that,
So-
well, I'm not saying where there is poverty, there's drugs, but where there's poverty, there's drugs.
Just stop being a critic.
I'm not a critic, I'm just saying that it makes sense that a lot of whatever people are seeing and thinking might just be drug dealers
With red eyes.
with red eyes. Well, while I'm here, I'm having fun now with going into Reddit. What's this part? It's where do you see the guy's name on Reddit? I know who this is.
You're going to have to save these websites because I'm going to have to put it in the sources.
So it's r/no sleep. 10 years ago, Spooky Scary is the guy's name, I believe. I'm gonna read. Well, it's a long thing to read. It's just interesting to say because obviously we're in the tunnels now. I'm gonna read this.
Down the rabbit hole.
Okay. I glanced out the window at the darkened tunnel and I noticed we were slowing down a bit, obviously due to train traffic. Story of my life. I continued peering outside as the train reached a total standstill. Suddenly my heart leapt into my throat as my eyes fell on a freakish distorted face in the window staring right at me. I don't know how anyone could be standing there. They would have to be positioned between the car and the tunnel wall. My eyes remained locked and as we passed by and I saw the thing turning its head to continue looking at me. My heart was pounding and I was breathing heavily as I looked around to see if anyone else had noticed. But sure enough, everyone was zoning out or dozing. Oh, this is a very long article, but basically it just says, I think there might be something inhuman living in the New York City subway.
Of course.
So I think if we go into the Reddit side of it,
It doesn't have to be Reddit. It's the legend side of it. The
but do we
lore
say this
side
is not
of
the
it,
mole
folklore.
people? Is this a mole people version 2?
There's not
But
a
there's
version 2. There's mole people.
And then the deeper mole people,
Yes.
the alleged mole people, the people with laundry
So of
mats
course,
and special schools.
like you, not everyone believes in accounts. in her accounts, in Toad's accounts. Many critics argue that some tunnel she described doesn't exist. And former New York City subway workers have challenged the feasibility of such deep underground civilization. But what if she was telling the truth? What if there are hidden levels beneath the subway that have been intentionally covered up? What if she was one of the only outsiders ever allowed into these secretive communities? Or was she granted access to hidden levels of the subway, rumored to exist but never acknowledged?
This is getting very conspiracy theory-ish.
What do you think folklore is?
Well, at some point you're probably going to say something about government involvement. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling this is going to happen at some point now.
Toad also writes about the darker side of the underground life. When gangs terrorize residents, addicts or mentally ill individuals struggle to survive, and people resort to roasting rats the size of raccoons over open fires.
Well, that makes sense. If it's there, you eat it.
Yes, well, if you live down
But
there.
is Toad now in the version 1 or the version 2 of the mole people?
Stop changing
Because
my mole people to versions.
Because we know the top layer mole people do exist. That is the poverty people with the drug dealers, allegedly, well, according to now. But
not all the drug people. There
But
are a lot of mole people that are really good people.
yeah, but not the drug dealers, like where I said with the drug dealers find themselves. The Dominican ball busters. But you said now there's a different level underneath that.
Yes.
But they won't be
According to
roasting.
Toad's
But they
book-
won't be roasting.
No, this is the people down there are roasting raccoon-sized rats on open fire and eating them. She's just saying it's the mentally ill ones that do it, that are eating the rats, not
Okay.
all of them. But what if these visible homeless populations act as a distraction from something more, a smoke screen, if you will? So here's something to think about. The police, media, and even YouTubers often focus on the struggling homeless individuals in the tunnels. But could they be unknowingly covering up something deeper? What if these surface-dwelling homeless people are merely a shield, keeping outsiders from finding a well-hidden society that has chosen to remain underground? Imagine a hidden civilization where people have adapted to life beneath the streets. People who might fear exposure because they lived so long in the secrecy. It's not so far-fetched when you consider the underground cities throughout history. I don't know, maybe I went a little too far down the rabbit hole with this one, but let's see.
Rabbit hole.
This idea isn't entirely unrealistic. Underground societies have existed throughout history. I'm gonna butcher this name, sorry guys. Derinkuyu from Turkey, an underground city capable of housing 20,000 people, dating back to the 7th century BCE. Paris Catacombs, France. Over 200 miles of tunnels, some still unexplored. Edinburgh's Vaults, Scotland. Used by the city's poorest in the 18th century and rumored to be haunted.
But this is a long time ago, and this is just one level of.
That's not to say the mole people haven't been living for centuries.
The catacombs aren't that deep. The Paris catacombs.
How would you know?
Well, you can Google it. It's not that deep. So, interesting about the Paris catacombs. You know why it's all covered in skulls and stuff?
No.
Well, the cemeteries got too full, and then at some point they decided, well, let's take all these bones out and go rearrange them in these catacombs, and that's what happened. That's why it's.
Like
Have you seen photos of the catacombs?
No, it's like the Great Wall of China, where I think it was a witch doctor, but I'm talking under correction, that said that you should bury dead people in the wall, and it will stand forever. So they physically, if a worker who built it died, they just put them in there. They put a bunch of people in that wall while putting it together. It was a bit creepy. So it's basically one huge, long wall that's a graveyard.
Quickly Google it. Google Paris catacombs France.
I'll Google it later, because we're working on the mole people, not the catacombs.
But
at the
anyway,
moment.
it's just interesting. It's walls covered
Back
with
to my
skulls.
mole people. Or,
Right, back
or
to mole
my,
people.
let's get to your
Well,
theories.
another thing about my little theory and your little theory is when was the subway built? But obviously, you're saying there's something underneath the subway.
Yes, more subway that you don't know about.
Well, that means it had to have been there before the subway was built.
Exactly.
The subway was built in.
You don't know.
Right. It opened October 27, 1904. So that means they had
You don't know if they
a
built on
civilized
top of it.
a civilization with laundromats and stuff before 1904, and nobody when they built the subway found.
It's not to say they had laundromats then.
No,
Remember,
I'm not
there's
just
still
using it as a
people
metaphor,
going
it
up
feels-
and working. So you can come down and say, hey, they've invented this nice thing. We have to give it a try. You have, when you look at the videos and so on of the mole people that's higher up, I mean, they bring in fridges, microwaves, so why not?
But you know about them. It's not a secret.
Yes,
You
but like I
find them.
say,
But then
so
you go
there
to
are people that actually go up. So if they go up, they see this, then they also bring it in, and nobody's looking weird at you because they know there are mole people. So you just slip through a tunnel that nobody knows about, and you go
well,
away.
it's just my thing is if you're going to build a subway, you're going to find people underneath you. Or if you're going to build a civilization underneath the subway, people in the subway will know you're there. There's no in between. You'll find out about it. And there's like millions and millions of people living in New York City. Someone's going to find you if you sneaky living underground.
I don't agree. There's a lot of things that people see but cannot find because if there's enough tunnels where they can quickly just go into a tunnel you can't see or behind the screen that you can't see, you never know. It's possible. Anything is possible. So, if massive underground societies exist elsewhere, like we just discussed, why not New York City? Why not beneath New York City?
Because it's not old enough.
Just because it's not old enough for you, even if they'd started back then, why not? Even if you don't know, like you say, there can be government. There's so many reasons why it could go deeper. So let's go deeper, literally. Some theories suggest that there may be a reason authorities are so eager to keep people from exploring certain tunnels. Could there be something else down there? Some urban legends claim that the underground homeless communities act as a distraction, a way to keep people from looking too far. But if someone dares to look deeper, they risk being dismissed as just another conspiracy theorist. So more extreme suggestions is government experiments.
There it is.
Though I couldn't find much concrete evidence on this. Reptilian beings, we covered this theory in episode 1 of our podcast.
Allegedly.
Don't make me kick you out of this podcast. The Montauk, butchering name there, Project Connection, some claim there are hidden military bases beneath New York City. But once again, I can only find whispers about it and not much more. Is any of this true? Who knows? But if it does make you wonder why some tunnels remain off limits, even maintenance workers can't go in there. So, what do you think? Could there be a vast hidden world beneath New York City? Or is Toad's book just a work of fiction?
How can millions of people just miss people living underneath you?
Easy. People live in plain sight a lot. There's actual stories of people kids getting kidnapped, living in plain sight and coming back.
I feel like the ghost stories are more plausible than people living underneath people. So if you say that there's the mole people, the actual existing mole people are hiding the mole people version 2.
It's not version 1 or 2, it's just the mole people. The one is just a bit of a smokescreen, that's all.
Well, Google says the mole people, also called tunnel people or tunnel dwellers, is something used to describe homeless people living under large cities in abandoned subways. So mole people exist. There's nothing underneath mole people.
Just because you say that doesn't mean it's not true. So has the government truly eradicated all underground dwellers, like you say? Or are they simply removing those close to the surface while the deeper communities remain undiscovered? which I obviously believe. We want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever seen something strange in the subway? Would you dare go exploring? Until next time, stay curious and keep the legends alive. Bye!
Bye.